Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pathfinder? Rather, Pillars of Eternity. They both start with a P. Alright, I'm surprised it's taken me that long to make the mistake. Pillars of Eternity, where last time we explored the catacombs beneath the Copper Lane here. Killed a necromancer? An undead necromancer? A lich? Almost, kind of. Not really, because he was really weak, and liches are strong and powerful. But we killed him. And did some other things in the catacomb. Go watch that episode if you want to know what else we did. And in this episode, we're going to finish up Copper Lane. And by finish up, I mean we are going to talk to these two people here, which are the only two named people we have left that aren't soul readings that I've found. And then we're going to go around, we're going to read everybody's soul. And then we're going to head over to Katnua because there's an impending attack coming within 3 days, 4 hours, and it takes us about a day to get there. Little under a day. I think it was like 22 hours to get to Katnua. So we actually have time to kill. But, we don't want to miss that, so we need to be careful. We actually might be able to do... We'll see how long this takes. But first, let's talk to Kadal. Sorry, I can't talk right now. Okay, maybe not. Maybe Lamdala. The statuesque woman has a gaze that could cut stone. She turns her chiseled cheekbones to the sky and favors you with a look of acknowledgement. Her eyes shimmer under silvered eyeshadow and a razor-precise line of kohl. Before you can speak, she throws her hands up in dramatic fashion.
Well met, friend.
Autographs after the performance, please. Great art requires great concentration, and greatness is expected from the Revel of Stars. What is the Revel of Stars? We are the finest theater troupe in the city. We believe that the best art is immersive and true to life. She looks at the amphitheater with a rapturous expression. Excuse me. We stage our performances right here in Copper Lane for the edification of all. I suppose I can spare a moment for a fan. I suppose you can. Does the Revel of Stars take in many new members? Oops, wrong button. There we go. But of course, good drama is a balm to the soul, and we wish to offer a true theatrical experience to as many as possible. How long do you keep members? What kind of members do you take? We'll take in the new and old, the tall and small, the experienced and inexperienced. Whoever is best suited to fulfill a role to the utmost. How long do you keep members? As long as they are able to satisfy the demands of their roles. She smooths a wayward strand of hair. True acting can be a grueling process, so some last longer than others. Let me ask you something else. Very well, if you happen to know any aspiring thespians, please send them my way. Her lips stretch into a hungry smile. We always have a place for novices. What do you do? That depends entirely on the demands of the role. She lays a slender hand on her chest. I am the Pallid Knight, the Widow of the Wood, and the Warrior Queen Makka, all at different times. To live a different life each day is a glorious thing indeed, my friend. Anything? No, that's it. Alright, farewell. Okay, well, I actually thought there was a quest involved with this, guys. Maybe we'll find a quest with them later. Alright, it's soul searching time. Let's go look for some souls to read. I believe there are two up here. There's like that historian that I said looked really cool. It was really just, I think it was just a godkin in a white robe. Sorry for the cough, guys. It's a lingering effect, unfortunately. Historian. Reach out for the soul. Yikes. Historian. You see a small crowd gathering near the entrance to a temple. This man stands against the wall, the crowd forming a semicircle around him. He speaks with a calm, measured tone, his soothing voice carrying over the sounds of the surrounding city. He speaks of the world, history, the gods, and religion. He speaks of cooking, brewing, child raising, and old wives' tales. There does not seem to be a subject he lacks at least a passing knowledge in. People ask him questions, and he answers them in turn, sometimes being detailed and in-depth, other times only giving a general answer. Regardless of what is said, all of his answers seem to hit the heart of what was asked, each person satisfied with what they've learned. People come and go from the crowd, its size growing and shrinking, but never completely dissipating. Hours pass, and he never seems to tire, sharing his knowledge with anyone who would benefit from it. As the light of day wanes, the group finally grows small enough that he draws everything to a close. As he gathers his belongings and prepares to leave, a man approaches him, asking why he does this. He asks for no money, no food. What benefit is gained from his actions? He looks at the man, gathering his thoughts, then simply tells him, "Knowledge brings wisdom. That is my faith." Good answer. I like that guy. Oleg Shimanovsky. You see a dark room, its contents in disarray. The blinds are pulled against the light, and the sounds of shouting and running can be heard outside. This man moves through a house, throwing items into a bag. He wraps up some food, collects some clothes, and searches through a chest for various odds and ends that resemble magical components. He stops at a bookshelf and quickly scans the spines, running his fingers along them to help keep him his place. He sighs, sliding his finger across the spines again, mumbling to himself. Finally, he chooses a couple of titles and takes them from the shelf, adding them to the assortment of items he has already gathered. A small group of squirrels and birds watch him as he passes through the rooms, moving almost as a single entity. They are trying to stay near him, but also seem to know to stay out of his way. He is obviously in a hurry, but he maintains a deliberate demeanor about everything he does. The outer door bursts open with an explosive sound, causing the animals to scatter, terrified. The man turns, bringing a hand up, holding a book in his other, whispering something that barely can be heard. Ice crystals begin to form at the tip of his fingers, crackling against the heat of the room. He sees the man standing in the doorway and immediately drops his hands, the ice vanishing as quickly as it appeared. The man in the doorway gestures, telling him to hurry, and points toward the horizon somewhere outside. The man in the house dismisses him with a wave, saying he is almost done here and will be coming soon. He scans the dwelling one more time, searching for something he might have missed. Satisfied, he leaves, not even bothering to close the door. Outside, he can see people, all prepared as he is, to travel away from town, away from the rising plumes of smoke on the horizon. That was a nice one. I mean, obviously not the greatest of endings because he had to run away, but it was very descriptive. Some really good writing in there, I think. I'm glad we're reading them, even if they're not super vital to any plot that we've noticed yet, or I've noticed yet. Alright, there were some people over here, right? Let's speed it up. Yeah, there's Erhan the Ingenious. Reach out for the soul. You see a small band of people walking down a rutted road surrounded by a thick forest. The man walks alongside them, chatting and joking, just like they were lifelong friends, though his appearance is one of frivolity. His jovial facade is betrayed by the occasional sideways glance into the dense tree line. There is a noise from the trees around them, the sound of someone breaking a twig. The man holds up his hand, silencing the travelers and destroying the light-hearted tone of the evening. They look around, worried expressions on their faces, gathering closer together. The man motions to the group to stay where they are and heads into the trees. There is silence for several seconds as they all strain to hear anything, clutching one another nervously. There is another rustling, this time coming from the direction the man entered the woods. A single figure emerges from the tree line, and the group visibly relaxes, seeing him approach. The figure comes close enough for the group to see his face, and one of them lets out a cry of dismay when they realize this is not their friend. No sooner has the sound left his mouth than another group emerges from the woods, weapons drawn, surrounding the travelers. As none of them are armed or in any state to fight, They are quickly subdued, bound, and relieved of their valuables. With a laugh, the bandits disappear back into the woods, leaving their quarry on the road. Safely back inside the forest, they meet up with the man. He smiles, mocking the gullibility of people who will trust a complete stranger as long as he buys them a drink. He takes his share of the spoils and leaves. Damn. Not good, Eodhan, whatever your name is. What'd I just press? Select group 0, not set. What? Group 0? Alright, and then there's these two here. Lenkel, Great Storm. Reach out. You see a man stumble. Knees bleeding, clothes torn, eyes dead. His skin is damp with sweat, but he pushes onward. His back is arched, defeated. At his side hangs a bow, strings limp from disuse. He trips through the undergrowth sightless, ignoring all but the sounds of his own anguish. He comes across a deer, gut spilled across the forest floor, still steaming in the cold night air. A Stelgar watches him from above, perched on the trunk of an enormous fallen tree. It takes the man a moment to notice his danger, and he seems almost glad for it. The Stelgar, how do you say that? Stelgar. I don't know. Unravels itself from the tree, eyeing him carefully. Its distended stomach almost brushes the ground as it jumps down, and the man dives to meet it. For a moment, time seems to slow as the man and beast collide. The Stelgar roars, swiping at him with its claws, and soon has him pinned, great yellow teeth and acrid breath ready to end his intrusion, but with a wet, ripping sound. Instead, the agonized Stelgar is himself gutted from neck to rump. From neck to rump. The man exhales deeply, covered in blood, ponderous. Not today. Not today. Not today, man. Good for you. Hilda? Hildy? Reach out. You see a dimly lit room with extravagant decorations. Pillows of silk brocade cover the floor, surrounding a large velvet-covered divan. Words. A man sits on the divan, his shirt tucked and only halfway buttoned. Behind him stands this elf, dressed in the same lavish finery as decorates the room. Her hips gyrate gently, dancing slowly around the man as she begins to sing. He looks up at her blearily, intoxication clouding his vision. He smiles, tunelessly humming along with her. Her words are too low to hear clearly, but as her singing grows more intense, the light in the room seems to dim even farther, and everything loses focus. She takes his face in her hands, singing directly to him, running her hands down his shoulder and arms until she is holding his hands. I don't think this is going to end well for the man. The man's eyes grow heavy, and he quickly succumbs to sleep, slumping backward. She holds his arms, catching him as he falls, and gently lays him down across the divan. She stops singing when his head hits the pillow, and suddenly the lights brighten back up, and everything snaps back into focus. She slips her hand into his jacket, retrieving an item that she places in a small box, sitting on a nearby table. She looks back at the man, shakes her head, and escapes into the night. Yep. Well, that'll do it. That's why you don't get intoxicated. That right there, that's the reason. You never know. Alright, I think these are the last two we have. Let me take a drink real quick. Alright. So we've got Matthias Nicholas. Reach out. You see an immaculate inn. Dark wood counters gleaming, patrons rowdy and smiling. Two men stand behind the bar, joking as they pour drinks. Features so similar they must be siblings. The younger snatches up an armful of drinks and walks them around the room, chatting happily as he hands out orders. Just as he sets down the final ale and turns around, a red-faced Amawa charges through the door, trailed by 3 sour-looking elves, slamming directly into him. The Amawa growls, knocking the young man out of the way, and demands an ale from the brother behind the bar. The man refuses, and the rest of the bar falls silent, sensing trouble. The older brother again asks the Amawa to leave, the younger brother placing a firm hand on his back and pushing him toward the door. And the scene freezes. With a sickening crack, the man is knocked backwards into the wall, neck snapping backward before he falls to the floor. He does not get up. The action is immediate, as the other patrons come to the barman's aid, dragging the Amawa and his compatriots out the back, but the damage is done. The carpet oozes with blood, slowly seeping into its fibers, as one brother dies and the other falls to his knees, horror piercing his eyes. By the time he gets up, the Amawa is long gone. Eugh. Tough break. Tough break. That's why you don't own a bar. A lot of life lessons in here. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. No, nothing's safe. Just stay inside and play video games. That's the only safe thing. Kondar Freed, Mr. Freed. You see 2 men walking slowly down a stone corridor. They move cautiously, frequently looking behind themselves. One of them is this man, who stops bringing a piece of parchment closer to his light, to his light enchanted helmet, so he can read it, while the other keeps walking, glancing over his shoulder. The first man looks up from his parchment in the middle of a sentence and stops, his expression changing from caution to fear. He starts to call out a warning, but it's too late. The Zarab, who appeared from the darkness before them, rushes forward and pushes its small sword into the stomach of the other man. It then squeals, seemingly repulsed by what is happening, and quickly backs away, leaving the sword protruding from the man's abdomen. Parchment falling from his hands, he leaps forward, catching his friend as he falls. The wound isn't serious. In fact, it doesn't even look like the blade has gone far into the flesh. The man turns his attention back down the hall, looking for signs of movement. Nothing re-emerges from the darkness, so he stands and strides down the hall, determination etched on his face, sword and shield at the ready. The corridor starts to widen as he enters. A whining yowl erupts from the darkness at the far side of the room. He slows, inching forward toward the sound. The light reveals a Zarab against the wall, holding a smaller one behind it with one arm. The larger Zarab has placed itself between him and the smaller one, attempting to shield the child with its body. The determination fades from the man's countenance as he lowers his shield and sheaths his sword. Putting up his hands, he slowly backs away, leaving the Zarab to care for its young. When the room narrows back into the corridor, he stops. Reaching into his pouch, he removes some rations and places them on the ground before returning to his friend. Aw. Good on you, buddy. Although, hey, they need to teach that Zarab some manners. You don't just go and stab somebody just because they're walking through your house, uninvited. Alright, I think that is all the souls we have to read. And I made it. We did it. Oh no, broken branches. Broken branch. Wait, we might have read this one already. Broken branch. Reach out. I don't think we have. You see a dark figure moving quickly around a room, grabbing items and placing them in a sack. The room is in complete disarray. The elf is lying on the floor in the middle of the room. Her breath comes in shallow, hitching gasps, and her face is wet with tears. Her head slowly tilts to the side, her attention drawn to the noise on the far side of the room. She watches the figure move about, removing all the valuables from a chest. She slowly lifts her hands from her stomach, bringing them in front of her face. Her head shakes weakly as she turns it back to look at her fingers, covered in her own blood. Actually, we have read this one. Yep, I remember. And spits on her. Yep. Definitely remember that one. Okay. Then we are done. Because I don't think there was one over here. Guess we can go check, though. Might as well. We'll talk to the boy, too. Tell him, rub it in his face that his tip was a good tip. And that we're not getting him the dagger. Because he's a little brat and he doesn't deserve a dagger. Did you get the dagger? From a real Crucible Knight? Can I see it? You'll get it eventually. Yeah, keep waiting, kid. Keep waiting. Kids. So gullible. Okay, so we want to go to First Fires. I decided that instead of going back to Cadnua yet, we're going to go to First Fires first. Because we still have, we have 3 days. 3 days. It takes 22 hours to get there, so we've got plenty of time to do some stuff around here first. The expedition's out of... but I don't need to know that. First Fires. Takes me 15 minutes to get there. Let's see what's going on here. We have a couple things to do here. And hell, we might even learn that Cadnua is not even ours to protect after we do that one quest, so... Nothing really to lose. Actually, this is probably the smarter thing to do right now. And no reason to go back there and protect it if we're going to lose it from, some sort of legal thing. Alright, let's take a look at the map. What do we got in here? Alright, so there's the Duke's Palace. There's Crucible Keep. That's the home of the Crucible Knights. That's the Brackenbury. There's the Temple of Wodika, which I guess it has an underground portion, because there was one in the sewers. That's the Andra's Gift. And there is to the Valian Assembly. I think the Duke's Palace is where the archive is, so let's go there first to get that out of the way.
Politics, infighting, greed, and a shrine to Margaret as well. Her clergy belongs there.
He really doesn't like Margaret, huh? Even though he's a priest of Margaret. He's got a very confused relationship, I think, with her. It's got a really interesting story, too. I'm excited to re-experience it. Alright. Let's go in here. And just so you know, I saw the person with the soul out there. We'll do the Crucible... Well, not the Crucible, the First Fire Souls another time. Hello, Sidley. Welcome to the Ducal Palace. I like it.
Hail, traveler.
The young woman wears a simple but well-tailored uniform. She watches the comings and goings around her with quiet attention. Any news to share? Or are you just here to see the Ducal Palace? What's the Ducal Palace? It's the seat of government here in Defiance Bay. This is where Duke Admeth Hadrit declared freedom from Adiran rule some 150 years ago. She lowers her voice and grins. It's also a hotbed of regional politics. Trust me, the gossip here beats what you'll find in any tavern or brothel in the city. Ah, Direwood politics. It changes too quickly to be worth keeping up with. Better to strike up conversation in the taverns than try to loiter inconspicuously in the palace corridors. Looking for news? Who are you? I'm a page here at the palace. I deliver messages and run errands for the Duke and his advisors. The pay is not great, but I can't think of a better introduction to politics. But what goes on here? She laughs. Where to start? We've got meetings, public hearings, and ceremonies, and that's just the stuff that happens out in the open. She leans a little closer. This is where the Duke and his key advisors work, so there's always someone bartering for a favor. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to talk about that side of things. But if you want the official version, she clears her throat, and gestures counterclockwise around the palace. We have a shrine devoted to Margaret, official records, and chambers for public hearings and council meetings. Tell me about the Shrine of Margaret. It's a symbol of Margaret's protection of Defiance Bay. She's represented the revolutionary spirit of the Direwood ever since independence, and her involvement in creating the Godhammer bomb only affirmed her importance to us. She scratches her neck. That's also where the first of the sacred fires burn, but Frigga, the tranquil, ardent, has had trouble keeping them lit. Interesting. What kind of records are stored here? Mostly dull official stuff. Census counts, tax records, militia registers. Now I keep my distance. I got curious one day and got drafted into reshelving half the records. She yawns. Worst day of my life. Is there a hearing going on right now? Sure is. Duke Avar's been meeting with some of the city leaders for weeks now, trying to figure out how to address the legacy. The whole business is terribly secret, though. I tried to sit in the gallery during my lunch break one day and got turned away. She sniffs. But a lot of the talk concerns animancy, so there's good reason they're keeping the meeting behind closed doors. The legacy? What? Widewind's legacy? That's what a lot of people call the rash of Hollowborn. The theory goes that it's punishment for meddling in animancy. Why is animancy so controversial? She laughs. Where to begin? Traditionalists think it's a crime against the gods. There's no question that poking around in souls is risky, but the more progressive elements believe it's our only shot at restoring healthy births. And it doesn't help matters that animancy research often involves old Ingwithan relics that were illegally looted from ruins in Glanfath. She makes a quick twitching motion with her index and middle finger. What are Hollowborn? She raises an eyebrow. You really are fresh from the road. Hollowborn are children born without souls. They often don't live for very long, and those that do have generally received some kind of treatment from the animancers. So what do you think about animancy? Me? I think the real danger of animancy is confusing a real scholar with an expensive fake. We get a new case here every day. Some poor couple in the Gift or Copper Lane who spent every copper they had on a miracle cure for their unborn child. It never works. She shakes her head. Breaks your heart, but there's usually nothing we can do for them. It's actually very insightful there, Sidley. I see. Anyway, the legacy is what the politicians have all been whispering about lately. Let's talk about something else. Oops. Let's talk about something else. Of course, I've always got my ear to the ground. Tell me about the current Duke. That would be Avar Wolfgren. Don't let the title fool you, though. Our dukes have been elected since independence. Some find Duke Avar rather coarse. He's a frontier noble. Personally, I think a rough and tumble type is just what Defiance Bay needs. Alright, see ya. Alright, so we have a lot of things to do in here then. The records might be where Eder wants to go. But first, we're obviously going to go check out the Shrine to Magran, because that's our guy, or girl. That's our girl. Most bright Magran, transform us with your flame. A stone figure of a warrior gazes... It's learning how to read here. A stone figure of a warrior gazes toward her raised hand. It's empty, but the palm and fingers are blackened. Hello, Frigga.
Hail and well met.
The woman's head is bowed, as her lips move in prayer. Just as you approach, you catch her glimpsing at the statue near her. She notices you and forces a smile. Praise be to Magran, and welcome to her temple. How may I be of service? You seem upset. What's wrong? Temple? I thought this was a palace. It's both, really. It's the palace from which Duke Avar governs, but it is also a place of worship, a place of honor and worship for Magran, the goddess who led us to independence and who has always watched over our city. Her smile falters. You seem upset. What's wrong? Her shoulders slump. This is about the fires, isn't it? She puts a hand on your shoulder. They're just symbols. You can't put your faith in them. The fires? She sighs. The sacred pyres all around town. You must have seen the statues of the goddess around the city, holding up empty braziers. No, I haven't actually. Maybe that's why the fires are important, because people look at them. I've kept them burning steadily for 15 years, but I haven't been able to conjure them for months now. People need to see them more than ever these days. So go light them again. I see plenty of flame here. They don't work that way. They're holy fire. It's my devotions and prayers that keep them lit. But lately, when I try to pray, All I can think about are the hollowborn all over the city. The grieving families, the refugees. She shakes her head. How could Margaret allow us to suffer like this? What strength do we gain from a soulless child? Here we go. Durrance grunts with disdain. What strength do we gain from adversity? From trial and test? The fires don't wither because she lacks in faith. They wither because she does not understand how to be faithful to a whore. A whore wants neither praise nor devotion. A whore wants to be compensated for her services. And Margaret is paid and pleasured in sweat and struggle, and pain. This mewling imbecile is unworthy of Margaret's womanly heat. Damn, dude. There's certainly like the meaning is there, but the words you're choosing quite vulgar. And this has shaken your faith. Shrug. Take heart and don't abandon your faith too easily. And this has shaken your faith? She nods, running her hands through her hair, but I believe Margaret may be speaking to me again. She frowns and casts a quick glance in your direction. You're also devout, aren't you? Surely you can understand what I'm about to tell you. Lately, I've been seeing visions. A place in the wilderness with pools filled with some bursts of color. Strange falls that seem to rise to the heavens, even while they splash into the earth. She raises her hands as if framing an image of her vision, and behind the falls is a cave, filled with fire and heat and danger, and some token of my goddess. I know there's something there, but where it is, or how I'd get there, she shakes her head. I've been meaning to ask around at the expedition hall to see if anyone recognizes the description. To be honest, though, I don't know what I'd do even if I found the place. Worthless, like so many in Margaret's flock, afraid of her god's tests. If Margaret speaks to her, it is to hasten an end to a hypocrite's life, and this vision is surely a death trap for the weak. What's the significance of the sacred pyres? They symbolize Margaret's power and guidance, and right now the people of Defiance Bay need to be assured of her presence. She crosses her arms, staring at the statue. Our neighbors in the Valian republics see us as superstitious, but we're just sensitive to the signs and warnings of the gods. Something else? Tell me more about the temple here. Margaret is the most revered goddess among the Direwoodens. So it's no surprise that her temple is part of the ducal palace. Her fires symbolize trials, revolutions, and the blazing of new paths, all of which are important to us. She gestures to the statue. This is the first of the sacred pyres. When this is lit, so are the rest around the city. Gotcha. New quest, Cinders of Faith. So this is going to be an interesting one, both for me and Durrance. It's Ferga, not Frigga. Or Firga. Firga, tranquil, ardent of Magrin. Traveled to the cave from Ferga's vision. Right. Okay. Probably not going to be in Defiance Bay, I'd imagine. Cool little temple, though. Alright, what's up here? Where's that court hearing I need to go to? Up in here, maybe? I can't tell. Hello? Chancellor Warren? Thank you for coming, Clesia. I've been trying to track you down for some time. It's only been a couple days. This is Marshal Forwin. Forwin? Earl Bademar's military advisor. He will serve as a witness for this proceeding. He gestures to the man next to him. Well met, Road Warden. Your reputation precedes you. I admit, you've created a bit of a stir throughout the nobility with your reclaimment of Cadnua. Most are still not sure what to think of you. Get to the point. The legitimacy of your claim to Cadnua is in question. Earl Badamar has issued a ruling on the matter. I trust the Earl to make a fair decision. Cadnua was abandoned for over a century, and I've claimed the land through strength of arms. My claim is legitimate. Canu is mine, and any who challenge my claim will face my wrath. Let's be cunning here, not aggressive but cunning. Canu was abandoned for over a century, and I've claimed the lands through strength of arms. My claim is legitimate. If there were no other claimant, you would be correct. Unfortunately, this is not the case. All will be made clear once Lord Gathben arrives. Do you have any questions for me while we wait? Tell me about Earl Badamar. Earl Badamar comes from an esteemed line of lords that rose to prominence after the War of Defiance some 150 years ago. The Direwood consists of 7 earldoms. The Badamars govern the northern earldom, known as the Grasp. As to the current Badamar, he is as fine a man as I know. It is an honor to serve him. Okay. That's all I need to know. Tell me more about the Grasp. The Grasp is now the largest of 7 earldoms after it consumed the pre-war earldom of Yenwood. It encompasses notable settlements such as New Heomar, Gyron's Grasp, Gilded Vale, and of course Cadnua. Yenwood? When Direwood was a mere colony of Adir, it was divided into 9 earldoms. When the Adirans were defeated and ultimately driven out, 2 of the earldoms were absorbed and borders were adjusted. The Yenwood was one such earldom. I have other questions. What do you know of Gathben? While I've met him but once, it was ample time to determine the character of Lord Arlid Gathben, or lack thereof. He is descended from an old Adiran line that predates the War of Defiance. His great-grandfather, Raneg Gathben, was the Earl of Yenwood during the war. That is, until he was stripped of his lands and driven from the Direwood. Okay. Do you know which way Earl Badamar has ruled? I'm sorry, my lord, I do not. The Earl's decree is sealed. What was that about, Road Warden? The one who rules Cadnua on behalf of the Earl of Yenwood is traditionally known as the Road Warden. Your position might not be entirely official, yet, but the title is an appropriate form of address. The Marshal nods and smiles. In fact, that blade you carry was forged by the very first Road Warden. He gestures at the sword at your side. I have a sword at my side? I've heard that the Whispers of Yenwood is only ever found by those meant to rule Cadnua. Ah. I don't think it's a... I don't know. I have that sword, apparently. I can't... Is that the sword that's broken, though? Or is that another sword? I don't know. No more questions. Your timing is impeccable. Here comes Lord Gathben now. Hello, Lord Gathben. An opulently dressed man strides toward the Chancellor, his sandy hair trailing him like a banner caught in the light breeze, boot heels echoing through the hall. An elven woman with cropped hair, dressed in dark, glinting mail, shadows his steps before taking position alongside him. She watches you unabashedly, taking your measure. Lord Gathben, let's move past this formality as quickly as possible. I have other matters to attend to. It's well known that Cadnua belongs to me by right. And where is this pretender? She who murdered the Riadrix, my own sister and her husband, and steals my lands? Where is this low-born wretch? Warren clears his throat and glances at you. This woman here, this is the Lady of Cadnua? I thought she was just another servant. Perhaps a valet or a scullery maid. Ooh. Ooh, man. Raise your hand. Everyone who owns their own keep, raise a hand. Go on, don't be shy. Can we get on with this, please? Worm breaks the seal on the scroll and unfurls it. Regarding the matter of the Gathben claim on Cadnua, Earl Badamar finds that the Gathben claim was never relinquished. By law, Cadnua is the rightful property of the Gathben family. I knew it. Gathben smirks at you triumphantly. Bro, just relax, man. I'm not yet finished reading, my lord. Gathbin rolls his eyes and motions for the Chancellor to continue. However, the Earl recognizes Clesia's part in reclaiming Cadnua, a site that has stood abandoned and even, some would say, cursed for over a century. Before Cadnua is returned to the Gathbin family, the Earl has decreed that Lord Gathbin will provide compensation in the form of... Absolutely not. Gathbin folds his arms, a defiant scowl on his face. My lord? Warren raises his eyebrows. The amount is quite reasonable, and a requirement for your land to be returned to you. If you'll just allow me to finish, I'll not pay a single copper to this miscreant for my ancestral land. Do you think I'm blind to the Earl's motives, lackey? He thinks he can send a message with this insult. I have a message you can send. You can send that son of a whore. Gathbin raises an open hand as the Chancellor shrinks away from him, arms raised in defense. Do nothing? My lord, I suggest you calm yourself immediately. The Marshal's tone is calm, but his hand rests on the hilt of his sword. The elven woman deftly draws a pistol from her thick leather belt. Her eyes widen in anticipation. My lord, my lady, please! There's no need for further violence. Lord Gathbin holds your gaze for several heartbeats, his eyes burning with hatred. I didn't do it. This is all you, man. I'm just sitting here enjoying the show. I'll be coming for what's mine. Count on it. Come, Captain Emery. We're leaving. He sneers defiantly before storming down the hall. The captain lowers her pistol and gives a smirking shrug before following her employer. What an idiot. Like, he's probably going to have to pay more just to fight me. Whatever. Well, I can't say that Gathbin's reaction was entirely unexpected. Though, through no fault of your own, I'm afraid you've made a powerful enemy, says Chancellor Warren. I've dealt with much worse. Have I? I don't know. Have I? I don't know. I guess we killed Lord Radric, so... He did seem a little upset, didn't he? Shrug. He seemed a little upset, didn't he? Oh, I accidentally shrugged. Well, we shrug. In any case, Cadnua now officially belongs to you since Lord Gathbin has rejected the Earl's decree. He hands you a deep blue scepter, which looks to have been carved entirely out of sapphire. Ooh. Here, this belonged to one of the old lords of Cadnua. By right, it's yours now. Gird Haywin's stint. I don't even know. Add it to inventory. Give 1,000 copper pieces. Have this sent to Lord Gathbin as a token of friendship. Tell Gathbin if I catch him on any of my people's if I catch him or any of his people on my lands, they will be executed. Jesus. Please extend an invitation to Lord Gathbin to feast with me within the halls of Cadnua. There's no need for us to be enemies. Yeah, let's send him an invitation. That's a generous offer. I'll make sure it reaches Lord Gathbin. It was a pleasure to finally meet you, my lady. Warren bows. Perhaps we'll speak again under more pleasant circumstances. Farewell, Clesia. The Marshal nods at you and leaves. Yeah, that guy's, obviously he's an asshole. But, like, I don't think Clesia would be completely against the idea of giving up rule of Cadnua as long as she could potentially stay there under the protection of him. Right? Like, the only reason why she's staying there is, one, she's got business in the region, and two, she wants somewhere safe where she can be. Also, there's the endless path and the throne, which kind of likes her. But other than that, yeah, she wouldn't be against having like somebody who knows the politics of the land better ruling it. Like, she didn't come here to be a ruler or even settle down or anything. It's just a happy coincidence. Okay. So that's the hearing done. Was there more to that? You had a lot of experience with that. Is that the end of that quest? I think so. All right, let's go find the records room. Is this it? Doesn't look like a records room, does it? So it's probably not. Wait, what's this? It doesn't tell me. Oh, God. I guess it's the records room. If, we've gone the other two places we could go. It is not. Okay. It was outside. Where are the records? Did I miss a door up here, maybe? No. Wait a minute. I'm confused. This isn't the records room, is it? Oh, records keeper.
How do you do?
A taciturn man with graying hair pores over a tome he's just withdrawn from one of the shelves. He glances up at you with baggy eyes. Yes. Is there something I can pull for you? I'm looking for militia records from the time of the Saints' War, trying to find out what happened to someone. The man clears his throat. We've had a number of inquiries about such information. I'm afraid we've had to bar access to the public. Seems there are still quite a number of folk in Direwood who bear ill will toward Radsarans. It would be irresponsible to surrender their names to just anyone. Many come to settle here as refugees. Perhaps if you were more established in Defiance Bay, things would be different. But I have no reason to suspect you to be any different from the others. Well, we've come a long way. I just need to find out about my brother. I don't even know what side he fought on. Or for. You must understand. I have heard such stories. Many such stories. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do for you. Okay. That's this update here. The records keeper was unwilling to show us records from the Saints' War, citing concern about vengeful Deerwoodens hunting down Radsiran refugees. He said things might be different if I was more reputable.
Hey.
Okay. Let's get our reputation up then. Alright, we still got a little bit of time left. Let's go ahead and I guess we'll go see what's down there at the Temple of Wodika.
Have you ever chased a skirt wizard? Or do you merely hide behind them?
Don't pawn your personal problems off on me.
They will use you, cast you off when it suits them. Never speak another word to you.
Maybe they just don't answer to fiery whore.
Good, yep, probably not. Hope that's not how you're trying to get a woman. There's another soul reader. Fearsome rumors persist of strange and hooded figures emerging from the city catacombs. The city guard advises caution and requests that all citizens keep alert. Okay. More souls. The stones of this ancient tower have been blackened by centuries-old fires. Surrounded by a patch of wildflowers, it looks like a memorial. Yeah. It does. Okay, so these are all statues of Magrin, huh? It's not right. Regular folk like us should be allowed to attend the hearings. Yeah. You do know there's not enough space in there for everybody, right? Who cares? Let us in. All I'm saying is, where's our representative? Who's speaking for the common folk? No taxation without representation. Okay.
Well, this would be our Church of Whitaker. Dear Woodens. Probably the first thing we burned during the Revolution.
Praise to the exiled queen. May her crown be restored and her justice prevail. Come to pay your respects to the queen that was.
A ghost hovers in the middle of the ruin, reciting blessings and prayers. Even as the spirit's form shifts and swirls, it retains the face of an elderly man in robes that mark wealth and status. It turns to you. Who are you?
Lord Ardwellen Rugford III, and pleased to make your acquaintance. I came to the Deerwood on one of the first ships from Adia, and unlike the yokels and hut dwellers around here, I still keep to the old ways.
His cloudy eyes swim with resentment. It's truly a pity to see what the locals have done to Wodika's house of worship. I was told I'd find the Temple of Wodika here.
And so you did. These savage colonists may have burned it down, but worship of the Oathbinder is alive and well. These stairs lead to the Main Sanctum.
The ghost's misty visage contorts in a scowl. What stairs?
These stairs, of course. The sanctum was always below ground, adjacent to the catacombs, so it wasn't destroyed by the fires.
The ghost gestures to an impassable pile of rubble. Like the rest of the ruin, it seems to have remained untouched for over a century. Okay, so that's what we saw down in the catacombs then. Not the stairs, but the real passage into the temple. Tell me where I'd find an entrance to these catacombs.
There are various entrances throughout Defiance Bay, but I dare say the easiest to reach is in Copper Lane. I haven't been to that part of town in ages, but as I recall, it's somewhere near the southern gate.
What are you doing?
Worshipping Wodika, the exiled queen and Oathbinder. I come every day to offer my devotion. I'd love nothing more than to book passage back to Adia, but it is my Emperor's wish that I serve in these barbaric lands. And so I do.
He shrugs. I'd like to know more about Wodika.
A queen among the gods. She oversees laws and oaths. Everything has a rightful place, and Whitaker watches over them all. Of course, not everyone accepts this. Even among the other gods, her authority is questioned. But Wodika is also goddess of memory and vengeance, and she remembers. She'll remember every slight and trespass when she reclaims her throne.
Slowly the ghost nods. So she's a vengeful god, huh? Okay. You do know you're a ghost, right?
I beg your pardon? Is this some sort of joke where you come from?
Yeah, big joke. I'm serious. Just look at yourself.
A madhouse. That's what this town really needs.
He closes his eyes and massages his temples with wispy fingers. Well, goodbye. Okay, find a way into the Temple of Wodika. Alright, so we know where that is. Weeds grow thick and full, untroubled by the passage of Kith. Some blood moss. Okay. I think that's probably a good place to stop. We'll probably finish exploring First Fires in the next episode. And then we gotta make a decision. Because I still feel like we have plenty of time to do things here in Defiance Bay before we need to go back to Catanua. We could explore Andra's Gift, Brackenbury. I think that's what we're gonna do. Heritage Hill, I remember being its own little, separate little quest / dungeon kind of thing. So we're probably gonna hold off on doing that. Unless we get the quest for it. If we get the quest for it, we might do that next episode. I don't know. But, we'll definitely... So, my plan right now is we're just going to keep exploring the city. If we finish exploring everything we can explore, and there's still time to do Wodika's temple beneath the catacomb before we need to go back to Catanua, that's what we'll do. Otherwise, after we're done exploring, we'll go back to Catanua, then we'll come back, do the temple, and everything will be hunky-dory. Now, the question has been raised, when do I plan to do the DLC? And the first thing is, well, I don't know. I'm probably going to do it, like, if it happens in a good time, like whenever we find the quest that starts the DLC, I might do it right then. It really depends on sort of the urgency of the main quest and where we're at with everything. Now, at this stage of the main quest, it doesn't feel super urgent, right? Because it seems just like a personal thing, right? Like, they're not hunting us. we're not really hunting them. We're looking for answers. And yeah, there is some sort of indication from like the beginning of the game that they're up to something not entirely good, because they're summoning Beowicks and stuff, which hurt people. But we haven't gotten to like anything where it's like we need to deal with these people as soon as possible, otherwise everything's going to hell. And there will be a point in the story where that will happen. And if that happens before the DLC, then I don't know. I don't remember. Can we do the DLC after the main quest? Let me know if you can do the DLC after the main quest. Because if you can't, then we'll have to find a time to do it before the main quest. But hopefully we'll find a good time in the pacing of the entire story to go do that. Because I'm actually really excited to do the DLC, because I did maybe like a couple of hours of it, but never finished it, and I didn't get that far into it. It seemed like it was going to be really good too. I don't know why I didn't finish it. I think something else came up, but I'm excited to get to that. But yeah, that's it for this episode, guys. Until the next one, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you later.